14-day commitment to going live on social media, which I'm really not an expert at, but I have some golden nuggets to share with you guys that I use on a day-to-day basis to command confidence, or my confidence journey. Because I think a lot of people meet me and they're like, oh, you're so confident, you command the room. But actually there's a lot of tools that I use to kind of get that across. So my commitment to myself was to push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit, get on social media and start speaking about that. And it's been really, really good actually, because I've had loads of people come back to me and say, oh, that was really, really helpful, or yeah, you were dropping some nuggets. So yeah, if I can share that and I can help others, then great. So today I'm talking about commanding respect and walking in confidence. So welcome, queens. There's a few kings on here, so welcome, kings and queens. Today we're going to be talking about stepping into your power, talking about how you command respect gracefully, confidently and unapologetically. So like, have you ever walked into a room and felt either invisible or you've kind of spoken up and felt dismissed? Well, that ends today. So I'm going to share with you some of my golden nuggets and some of the tools that I use to make sure that I own my space, make sure that my voice is heard when I want it to be heard. And I'm not talking about kind of going into spaces and being loud and boisterous. I'm talking about doing it gracefully, confidently, and actually commanding the respect that you deserve, right? So confidence for me isn't just about feeling good. So a lot of it is about the mindset, and I talked about it, confidence being a muscle that you build on. So some people ooze natural confidence, some people have to work a little bit harder at that. So for me, confidence is a muscle that you kind of practice and you work and you strengthen to kind of step into your true purpose. So let's get into it. It's really about how you carry yourself in every single space and every single scenario, whether it's at work, friendships, relationships, even just walking into a store. You notice the difference on how somebody treats you. So if you walk into a store, hey Shan, hair collections, thanks for the likes, guys. I'm so not used to this, so all the likes will be greatly appreciated, because that would really help spread the kind of live about. So have you ever noticed, like when you walk into a store, if you walk in like a hoodie and a tracksuit, you get treated very, very differently from if you walk in and you're wearing a suit. So it's how, despite that, how you still command your respect. So for me, respect is non-negotiable. It's an absolute non-negotiable, and that's in every single situation that I come across. So whether that's in corporate, friendships, relationships, because if you're in a situation and it's damaging to your mental health or your mental well-being, it's not for you. So that's the first thing to understand. If you're in any environment or any situation where it is damaging to your mental health, you need to reassess that situation. That situation is not for you, because there's no situation or there's no relationship that you should be in that is damaging to your mental health. So I personally am so protective over my mental health. You don't understand. I think I'm an expert at blocking any bad energies and stuff like that. So but also understanding that your presence sets the tone. So whether it's in a corporate meeting, a networking event, I did talk about a networking event and how you kind of get yourself heard in a room full of people, or if you feel a bit overwhelmed by the task and the amount of people that there's a simple tool that you can use. So if you're interested in that, check out yesterday's live, and you'll pick up the golden nugget from that. But even if you walk into something as simple as a hotel lobby or a restaurant, you must always walk into that space like you belong. So whether that's even into work with your head held high, shoulders back, you belong in that space. So even if you were walking into the most exclusive restaurant in London or anywhere in the world, I don't ever want anyone to feel that they don't fit in or they're out of their comfort zone. So always walk in like you belong. So that's a real kind of first step, if you like, to make sure that you're in these spaces that you deserve to be in, right? And you'll notice a difference on how you're treated. If you walk in and you're almost walking in with your head down and you're kind of not feeling kind of great about, not I wouldn't say not great, I'd say probably more a little bit out of your comfort zone, that can kind of come across because you almost shrink yourself. But I don't ever want anyone to kind of shrink themselves in those spaces. Just get used to walking in like you deserve to be there. You own that place. Also, a real big kind of thing that I know people struggle with, and that is the art of saying no. The art of saying no is something that you really, really do have to practice. Saying no to things that don't serve you is an ultimate power move. And I'm not saying that you have to be aggressive, nasty. You can do it with class. There's so many ways to say no. And you don't have to say no with an explanation, because I feel like an explanation kind of downvalues your no. So there's things like, if you're, for example, speaking with friends and your friend wants you to do something that actually really, really you don't want to do, but they're kind of using the tactic, or it could be a relationship even, or they're like, oh, but come on, if you really was my friend, and like they're really trying to pressure you to do something that you don't want to do. One of the tools that I use is, I love you so much, I absolutely love you, but I'm not going to do this. It's a no for me. It doesn't suit me. It doesn't serve my purpose. So I'm really sorry, but I'm not going. I mean, even apologising. Sometimes I do, but even apologising for that, if it doesn't serve you, just practice saying no. And let's see. I'm just going to check my notes. Oh, there's a lot of power in how you talk. How you talk in various different situations to make sure that you're being heard. So let's say, for example, I've been in many situations. Some people that have been on the previous lives will understand that I'm a contractor and I work in various different corporate environments, and that means that I come across many different types of managers, many different teams, many different scenarios within the corporate space, and some of them can be quite difficult to navigate. But what I have learned is, actually, when you're in a difficult situation or a difficult conversation within a corporate environment, one of the fundamental tools that I practice religiously is I will lower my tone. And I will deliberately lower my tone, and you'll even notice that when I do it, I actually use my hands. I'm very handy, but I will actually, like when you was at school and you had the orchestra, and the orchestra would be like, do, 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 do. I will actually do that to myself, and I will be like, lower your tone. So I lower my tone and I speak very, very calmly to get my point across. Now, in just doing that, whatever it is that you want to say, in just doing that, it forces somebody to kind of almost really listen, because you're not shouting back, you're not biting back. So that is a tactic that I use. So if you're ever in a situation where a conversation may be heated, it could be even an argument that you're in. I don't tend to argue with people just because I think that it leads us down a path, and we're not gonna be heard. We're not gonna get anywhere with it. So even in that situation, I tend to just slow down, lower my tone, and say what it is that I have to say. And an example of that, I was in my gym a while back, and it's quite a bougie gym. So I was in my gym, and we was outside on the outside pool, and I'd come in and I just kind of wrapped something around me, and one of the workers came up to me and she was like, you can't wear that in here. So I said, okay, but I'd noticed that other people around me were wearing that. So I said, okay, what you're going to do first of all is lower your tone. First of all. So I kind of directed that, and she kind of came back, you can't be so aggressive to me. Okay, and this is another thing, is that as a black woman, and in many, many scenarios, so this is talking about the gym, but I've had it in corporate as well, where people will quickly, very, very quickly, when you challenge them, go to the aggressive black woman narrative. And that's something that I am so protective over, because you're not going to label me and put me in that category, when in this particular scenario of the gym, she was the aggressor, right? So my kind of response was that, okay, is like, the first thing was, okay, we're not going to use that dialogue. We're going to lower our tones, because you talking to me like that, I'm not comprehending and I'm not understanding what you're saying. So I've almost flipped it and made her think about her tone to me, and let her know that I'm not going to rise to the... I feel like it was rise to the situation. I'm not going to rise to what she's trying to get out of me, which was for me to clap back. So for me, it's all about the tone that you use, all about slowing down. And my dad taught me this trick years ago as a kid, and he always said that people mirror people. So I spent a lot of time practicing that if somebody was arguing with me or somebody was shouting at me, I'd kind of almost go to a whisper. That's how bad it was, because I noticed that people actually will copy and they'll start whispering as well. So when people are shouting and they're aggressive, and I'll be like, oh, okay, and I'd go right to a whisper. And I really want people to try that. Please try it, because it's actually quite comical when you realise how easy it is to do. So just think about your response. Don't always respond in anger. I'm very, very sure of the type of woman that I want to put out to the world, which is graceful, calm, and confident, right? So if you take any way from that, please, if somebody is being aggressive towards you, please try that. Put an emoji of some sort. I don't know. As you know, I'm not great with social media. I'm learning it. But put an emoji in the chats if you're going to try that one, because I absolutely love that one. And then, just practice walking with confidence. Practice walking into spaces that you may feel a little bit uncomfortable about, with your head held high, your shoulders back, like you own, and you'll notice the reactions of people that change. And even in the example when I was saying, if you go into a shop and you know that you get treated differently if you're wearing a hoodie or if you're wearing a suit. So I always confront that. If I feel that somebody's treating me different because of what I'm wearing, because we all have days where it might be you just pop into the shops and you've stuck a hoodie on, right? But if I have that situation, I feel that somebody's treated, I kill them with kindness. I kill them with kindness, and I make sure, again, that I speak very clearly, I speak well, and just make sure that they change their... Not that I set out to do it. I think it probably comes naturally, but I'm not going to accept you treating me differently based on what I'm wearing. It's ridiculous, right? But people will. Rehearse your power response. So whatever situation it is that you're in, if you feel that you're constantly being undermined, you're constantly not being heard, you're not able to get your voice across, so whether that's in, like I said, friendships, relationships, in a corporate setting, think of a scenario where it is a bit challenging for you to step outside of your comfort zone. So think of that scenario, or think of how you could have done things better. And this goes down to things like your performance review at work. You want to say something, but actually you don't feel confident enough to say it. Practice, write it down and practice in a calm and confident way. It really helps you to assert what your boundaries are and see and kind of almost format what it is that you want to say and what it is that you want to get across. So there's no harm. Nobody is at home with you when you're in that space and you're thinking about that scenario. There's absolutely no harm in you practicing. And even yesterday I said, send yourself a voice note. Send yourself a voice note of what it is that you want to say, what it is that you want to get across, and listen to it and practice. So I'll set you a command the room challenge, which is in your next meeting, conversation, networking event. Just kind of set yourself to just do it. Set yourself kind of I said yesterday in the networking space, whatever environment you're in, if you're in a networking space, one of the best tips that you can have, the best absolute, and I do this every single time, is ask a question. Ask a question. If there's an opportunity to ask a question within a networking space, no matter how silly you think the question is, and sometimes it depends on the type of event that you're going to and what you want to get out of the event. You can sometimes pre-plan that question, but if you can't pre-plan the question and it's you're just presented with this opportunity to ask a question, you can ask something as simple as but always introduce yourself. So always introduce yourself. Always, my name's Tanya. I am the founder of Busty Boob Tape, which is a brand helping women to revolutionise their wardrobes. The question that I have today is, I would be interested in any advice or any books that the panel would suggest that I read for somebody in this entrepreneurial journey at this time. Simple. Or what books are you reading? If you want to keep it simple, what books are you reading? But I would always say introduce yourself, introduce why you're there, because what you'll find is when you do that, the room comes to you. Anyone who's of interest comes to you rather than you having to run and try and network with everyone else, right? So think of a question. And yeah, I mean, I have committed to 14 days of live because I've hidden away from social. So thank you so much for joining. Every day they're up on YouTube now, and then what I think I'll be doing at the end of it is maybe a monthly confidence workshops for people that are looking for just those extra kind of tips or those extra practice and extra tools to kind of help them walk in their true purpose and their true power. I always talk about affirmations, so affirmations that you can say to yourself, things like I am power, I am confident, every single morning. But I also use a lot of songs. I use a lot of songs to really get me into the mode that I want to be in that day. So some of the ones that I would use for this energy would be, and I'll put them all in the replay. So it'll be Kerry Hilson, Pretty Girl Rock, Missy Elliott, we all know that one, I Can't Stand the Rain, and Aretha Franklin, Respect. So yeah, if you kind of really need to fire yourself up, I'd say use songs. I'd say practice what it is that you want to say, practice how it is that you want to say it. And for me, the absolute golden nugget is, if you find yourself in a situation of conflict, whether that's in corporate life, whether that's in friendships, whether that's in relationships, just practice lowering your tone, slowing down what it is that you want to say, and being really affirmative in what it is that you're trying to get across, and that works wonders, absolute wonders. So that is my life for today. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you to all the people that keep coming back. As you know, I've just committed to kind of being present, getting on live and sharing a bit about my story, my journey. If you liked it, please tap on the screen. If there's anything that I can help with, any questions that I can ask, my DMs are open. Please feel free to send me a DM. But thank you so much for joining, guys.